Baseball and softball bring home wins over this past weekend. Track and field traveled to Carnegie Mellon for the CMU Invitational. Pirates baseball is back while the Pens continue to fight for their playoff spot. The World Baseball Classic has crowned their champion, more NFL names on the move, NHL playoffs slowly approaching, and March Madness is down to their last 4 teams. It's time to come on down to the Pioneer Sideline. Hello and welcome back to Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Natalia Hillen. The Point Park University's baseball team had a 3-game road stretch in the River States Conference play against Brescia University this past week. The Pioneers swept the Bearcats and won all 3 games. The Pioneers' offense and pitching worked together to run an 8-game conference win streak. The Pioneers worked hard, and the first game ended with a final score of 10-0, and Game 2 ended with a score of 3-0. And finally, Game 3 ended with a final score of 6-0. The first 2 innings were low scoring, where the Pioneers were held off the scoreboard. And in the third, PPU scratched across 2 runs. Carlos Burrows had an infield hit, and Omar Murillo followed with a base hit. A few batters later, Jared Campbell drove in a run with a single, and Macaulay Brito later had an RBI groundout. In the 4th inning, the Pioneers had 4 big runs. Murillo had a 2-run double off the wall in the right field, which brought in the first 2. Carlos Martinez followed with an RBI single and Brito with a 2-out base hit, which brought it to the final score of 6-0. Sophomore pitcher Javier Cardoso threw an amazing game, which helped the Pioneers sweep Brescia. He took a no-hitter to the 8th inning, getting the victory. Some highlights of the game were that he struck out 13 and walked none. The first 17 batters he faced were set down, and in the 6th, an infield error with 2 outs broke up the game through the inning 5. The Bearcats finally ended up breaking through the no-hitters until 2 outs in the 8th, which is impressive. Cardoso also got RSC Pitcher of the Week for a 2nd time in a row. Congratulations. Raymond Rodriguez got the final out of the 8th, and Sebastian Rodriguez preserved the shutout with a 1-2-3 in the 9th. Point Park had 10 hits for the 2nd time in this series, and Murillo, Martinez, and Campbell had 2 hits each. The Pioneers are 18-7 overall, and in the conference are still in the lead 11-1. Point Park's next 2 games are this Friday, March 31st, against Ohio Christian at the Wild Things Park. Good luck, boys. Switching gears over to Point Park's softball team as they played 2 games this past Sunday at Midway University. They lost the first game 7-1 and won the second 6-3. At the start of the Game 2 in the 2nd inning, Point Park struck out for 3 runs and a key error let 2 runs to score, making it 2-1. Alex Bondi added an RBI single as well. The Pioneers were able to tag Sarah Jo Cullen, a Midway starter, for 3 runs and 5 hits, and they got 3 more runs off of Ludwig. With Midway leaving 12 runners on base, Jada Simon kept the game in a scoring position as she stranded 2 runners in the 3rd and had bases loaded in the 4th, keeping the score 3-2 Point Park. In the 5th inning, she struck 3 more runs in the 5th, and as Point Park stretched the lead from 6-2, Mara Emia had a walk and bunted to 2nd by Remy Coy, and Melanie Taylor got an RBI single for one of her 2 hits. Coming up next with a big home run was Camera with a 2-run to clear the bases. Taylor and Meyer scored 2 runs each at the top. Congratulations to senior Jada Simon on getting RSC Pitcher of the Week. In Game 2 against Midway, Simon fought through 7 innings getting the victory as she gave up 10 hits, kept the walks to 2, and struck out 2. She also hit .500 at the plate and was 5 for 10 with 3 RBIs and a double. Congrats again, Jada. The Point Park softball team's next games were scheduled for today against Carlow University at Fairhaven Park. Good luck, Pioneers. After the break, we'll hear from Hannah Bazet about how the track team did at CMU this past weekend. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now we send things to Hannah Bazet to recap us on the CMU Invitational. Hannah?
Thanks, Nat. It was another great weekend for the men's and women's outdoor track and field teams who stayed home this weekend where they competed in the Carnegie Mellon University Invitational. Beginning with our women's team, highlights from the meet were Jordan Yaniga placing 9th in the women's 200-meter dash with her time of 27.68 seconds. In the 400-meter dash, Yaniga took 8th with her run of 1 minute and 1.58 seconds. In the 800-meter dash, Carlin DeBee broke into the top 10 with her 7th place finish time of 2 minutes and 20.37 seconds. Alyssa Campbell had a great meet, taking first in the 5,000-meter run with her time of 17 minutes and 42.02 seconds, accumulating 10 points towards the team's score in the progress. In the women's 100-meter hurdles, Natalie Hillen got 4th, and in the 400-meter hurdles took 5th place. The women's 4x100 relay, consisting of Rakia Ellsbury, Hillen, Yaniga, and Emma Pavlik, got 2nd place with their time of 50.50 seconds. In the 4x400 relay, Point Park came up 4th, with Pavlik, DeBee, Yaniga, and Michaela Rice all competing. In high jump, Pavlik got 3rd, distancing 1.56 meters in the pole vault. Sophie Jabozi got 5th, clearing 3.10 meters, and in the long jump, Carson Hetzler got 6th. Finally, in the hammer throw, Anna Jabozi got 10th, and in javelin, Maya Letzer got 6th. The Pioneer ladies got 7th out of the 15 teams that competed. The Pioneers men's teams got 139.50 points and had several event victories during the 2 days of the meet. The host school, Carnegie Mellon, took 1st place and was the only other school to get over 100 points in the standings. The Pioneers placed ahead of NCAA Division II schools Seton Hill and IUP and beat NCAA Division I schools University of Pittsburgh and Duquesne. Just a few of the standouts were Damir Stewart, who won the 100 and 200-meter dashes, Colin Eze, who won the long and triple jump, Daniel Jacobs, who won the javelin event, and Jakob Blatnick, who came right behind him in 2nd place. In the sprints and hurdles, Stewart and Jacorius Demps took 1st and 3rd in both the 100 and 200 meters. Stewart's ran 10.74 seconds in the 100, setting a school record. Demps was right on his heels at 11.01 seconds to take 3rd. In the 200, Stewart once again got 1st, running 22.24 seconds, and Demps took 3rd at 22.59 seconds. In the 4x100 relay, consisting of Demps, Demir Lomax, Shavaris Moore, and Stewart, racked up another 1st place victory with their time of 41.87 seconds. The relay squad qualified for the NAIA Outdoor Nationals during their first meet of the season. The 4x400 relay took 3rd, featuring Demps, Stewart, Juan Barrera, and Tyler Hare, who ran at 3 minutes and 31.29 seconds. In the 400 meters, Barrera got 5th with his time of 51.05 seconds, and Toby Wright also made it into the top 10 with his time of 52.11 seconds, taking 9th place. Lomax took 6th in the 110-meter hurdles running a time of 15.61 seconds, and Peter Durando was in 8th at 15.81 seconds. In the 400 hurdles, both Durando and Lomax PR'd and took 12th and 13th place in the meet. Boatswain also ran the 5th best time in program history at 59.23 seconds, and Lomax was right behind him at 59.24 seconds. Yannick Windoband qualified for the NAIA Outdoor Nationals with his B standard time of 9 minutes and 30.87 seconds. This time also gave him the school record and puts him at the top time in the River States Conference. Logan Gonzalez ran a career best in the 800 meters at 1 minute and 58.39 seconds. That time is the 5th all-time best in program history. Joshua Gosling got the top 5 best time in program history for his time in the 5,000 meters. He ran at 16 minutes and 18 seconds to also give him 15th in the meet. Besides Blatnick and Jacobs' stellar performance in the javelin event, it was also a great meet for Siobhan Fletcher, who threw 51.46 meters, a PR for himself, and took 6th place. Blatnick, Jacobs, and Fletcher are now all ranked in the top 3 all-time in program history, with Blatnick in 1st, Jacobs in 2nd, and Fletcher in 3rd. In shot put, Fletcher set a school record with his throw of 15.07 meters and placed 3rd in the meet. Finally, it was another successful day for Collins Eze, who won both the horizontal jumps and placed 6th in the high jump. His long jump distance was 6.66 meters, and he took 1st in the triple jump at 13.52 meters. Maxwell Good took 3rd in both the long and triple jumps, and in pole vault, Eze surpassed 1.72 meters to get 6th. Tyler Hertwig took 7th with his height of 1.67 meters. Also competing was Durando, who matched his personal best of 4 meters and took 4th place. All in all, the men's team took 2nd out of the 12 teams that competed at this past weekend, and we are so proud of all the success that they've already made so early in the season. The men's and women's teams compete again at the West Liberty Invitational on April 1st. We can't wait to see how they do. That's all I have. Back to you, Nat.
Thanks, Hannah. After the break, we get the inside scoop on all things local and nationally. Stay tuned.
Hey.
Good evening and welcome to News Night. My name is Craig Ferkowski.
Tonight, we'll cover all your international, national, and local news.
Australia is one of the most biodiverse countries on the planet.
Over 8,000 items are to be auctioned off at Pittsburgh International Airport on October 22nd.
Last Thursday, the House committee investigating the January 6th attack chose to subpoena former President Donald Trump.
All this and more
Coming up on News
Night.
Night. Welcome back. I'll now be sending things over to Matt Palangi so he can update us on all things locally and nationally. Matt?
Thanks, Nat. Opening day for baseball is almost here, with the Pirates heading to Cincinnati to play the Reds on March 30th. The Reds are favorites to win this game by a small margin, but both of these teams struggled last year, and the Pirates will get the chance to show off their new roster in hopes of improving from that struggle of a 2022 season. Can't wait to see the opening day roster, with the Pirates officially making their roster cuts, now having 32 players rostered. In Penguins news, the Pens look to get their shot at the playoffs, currently fighting but also leading the race for the second wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. The Pens' last 3 games featured a win over the Avalanche, a loss to the Stars, and a win over the Capitals. With the Penguins just one small step away, all of Pittsburgh is in hopes of a run at this year's Cup. Now on to national news. Now let's look at sports all around the nation. The World Baseball Classic ended with the United States just falling short of gold. Japan beats them out, ending the game with a historic at-bat. 2 of the league's best players, Shohei Ohtani to pitch and Mike Trout in the batter's box. These two faced off in the final at-bat of the game, with Shohei Ohtani striking out his MLB teammate to bring Japan to victory. Moments like this is why we cannot wait for the MLB season. Now let's talk some NFL free agency, with news coming out daily. Ravens MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson has officially requested a trade, as stated by himself on Twitter. With many teams interested, the heavy favorite currently is the Atlanta Falcons, but we will have to just find out once the deal is made. After a down year, former superstar but still solid linebacker Bobby Wagner leaves the Rams after just one poor season to go back to his former team, the Seattle Seahawks. One of the loudest teams in free agency has been the Carolina Panthers. After trading their star wide receiver away for the first overall pick, they have replaced DJ Moore with Adam Thielen and now DJ Chark. Super Bowl winning wide receiver Mecole Hardman has left Kansas City to join the New York Jets. New York seems to keep trying to add weapons in hopes of making a deal for quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Deals are being made daily, so stay on the lookout. Now a quick NHL recap. 5 teams have clinched playoff berths so far, with all of these teams being in the Eastern Conference. These 5 teams being the Boston Bruins, the Toronto Maple Leafs, Carolina Hurricanes, New Jersey Devils, and the New York Rangers. The Western Conference jumps up and down daily, with the Minnesota Wild now owning the top spot in their division, followed by the Avalanche. In the Pacific, the Vegas Golden Knights remain dominant and stay firm at the top. This season has been entertaining and gives me high hopes for this year's postseason. And what a wild tournament it has been so far. The college basketball big dance is now down to the final 4 teams. 5 seed San Diego State will play 9 seed Florida Atlantic, and 5 seed Miami will play the 4 seed UConn. The winner of these 2 games will then face off in the national championship. Now that is everything I have. Back to you, Nat.
Thanks, Matt. After the break, we come back with the case of the week. Stay tuned.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back.
Welcome back
to
Daybreak.
Chicken Guy opened in PPG Place on Monday.
The bridge would open before the 1 year marks to check out the 20th annual gingerbread display.
Share with you this week's Ray of Sunshine.
We are still somehow hanging around in the playoff.
It gives Georgia Democrats some hold onto the governing body.
Are 200,000 people still in harm's way?
This weather is perfect for those cozy nights indoors.
Hey.
I'm an actor in an ad that was given 12 seconds to remind you that if you're high, just don't drive. Because if you feel different, you drive different. It's illegal to drive high everywhere anyway.
Welcome back. This week we're down to the final four in the big dance. Florida Atlantic versus San Diego State and UConn versus Miami. We're going to go over our favorites in these matchups and see who we think are going to win. Today I'm joined by Matt and Gabe to hear what they have to think. So we're going to start off with FAU versus San Diego State. Matt, what are you thinking for this matchup?
FAU honestly kind of looks unbeatable right now. They came in as a 9 seed, but they also did come in at a 31-3 record, which was one of the top in the country. But the reason I'm picking San Diego State for this one is because of the fact I honestly, every game has just gone randomly. You cannot predict any single thing, at least this year's tournament specifically. San Diego State has just not been able to get outperformed on either side of the ball. They're either just perfect on offense or just perfect on defense. And I think it's going to be hard for a team like FAU to beat that. So for me personally, I have San Diego State winning.
I would agree. I have San Diego State winning. If you look behind, it was a great, impressive win over Kansas State for FAU, but they turned the ball over 22 times. The only reason they won that game is because they out-rebounded them, Kansas State 44-22, and they also allowed Kansas State to shoot 46% from three, which is far above what they usually shoot. So if you factor those in, and you see a team like San Diego State on the exact flip side, they shot the ball very poorly and still were able to grind out a win against a good team in Creighton. I think that if you have them on and they're shooting the ball well, I think that there's a chance they could blow the game open very early. So I have San Diego State winning also.
I kind of agree with you guys, but FAU has been the underdog in pretty much every single game that they've played. So there kind of is a chance for them to come and beat San Diego State. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's just how this tournament's been this year. You just never know who's going to win. That's why I'm not just putting it completely to the side that FAU can't win, because they have not been a favorite in one game except the round of 32 when they played Farley Dickinson. That was the only game that FAU were favorites. So honestly, I'm not just going to throw it away. I think that they obviously have a strong chance, but they didn't look like as good as SDS did last week or last round, so I have SDS winning.
I can agree. I think especially this tournament, we've seen major upsets. I think anybody can win. It's anybody's game, but if I had to pick a team, I'm going to go with San Diego State.
Yeah, and San Diego State defeated Alabama, so
yeah,
that's a huge thing. All right, we'll go with the next matchup, Miami versus UConn.
UConn has been beating every single team they've played against by double digits, and the worst they've won by is 15 points. So not only has every team struggled against them, they've dominated every single game that they've played, which is why I just think for me personally, I just don't see anyone stopping UConn, especially a team like Miami. Miami has been good. Their offense has been red hot all tournament long. I just do not think they're going to be able to keep up with UConn on both sides of the ball.
I agree with what you're saying. I was going to point out that they're the only team to make it to the Final Four, winning each game by at least 15. They're historically dominant in this tournament, and I don't see a situation which they can, and especially you look at Miami, it came down to they made 2 threes in the last game, and they also it took a historic performance from the free throw line. They shot 88%, far above their season average. For them to pull out a win and come back win against Texas. And also Texas turned the ball over. They played sloppy towards the end. And I don't see a team like UConn making those same mistakes if it's in a close game, that situation. So for the same reasons, I also think UConn will win. They're one of the best rebounding teams in the nation. And I just think that like across the board, they have an advantage that would point to them winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, Miami put up pretty much 80 in every single game except for the first round, and UConn has won by 15 for each game. So it's I kind of agree with you guys. I feel like UConn is going to beat Miami, but I would love to see Miami kind of beat UConn at the same time. But I guess we'll have to see.
It'd be a big upset, but at the same time, you look at it, they just held Gonzaga, the top scoring team in the nation, to nearly 30 points under their season average. They shot 33 from the field, 10% from three. They had them struggling on all levels of the floor. So to see a team at Miami, they need to score 80 points to win. If they have to go out and get 80 points against UConn to win this game, I don't see that happening. So that's why I'd pick UConn to win.
Yeah, it's definitely a very big jump going from who Miami's played and then jumping up to playing UConn. That Gonzaga versus UConn game was supposed to be an incredibly hyped up game. Two teams that were favorites to win this tournament at one point, and UConn made Gonzaga look like they were a 16 seed all along, and it was just a dominating performance by UConn. You have that much momentum. Now, I do want to say this, Miami has had a fantastic run so far, so I can't put any game ever aside, especially this late, because these teams all have played like they deserve to be here. But just for me, when it looks like how momentum has gone and how teams have been playing, I have San Diego State playing against UConn, and I have UConn winning it all.
I think that's a fair point. I mean, they played Houston, which was the best defensive team in basketball. They still were able to score the basketball. So I don't see a situation in which they don't win. Like, I still believe there's a chance, especially with this tournament. We've seen all sorts of stuff happen. So I don't think that it's just written down that it's secured that UConn's going to win. But if you look at it, like, they've been amazing on both sides of the ball. So I think they do have the advantage in this matchup.
Yeah, we'll have to see on Saturday, April 1st. I'm really excited to see these games. Well, that is all that we have time for this week. We hope you are able to join us next week at the same Pioneer time, the same Pioneer channel, and the same Pioneer Sideline.